We heard Attorney General Lynch say just a few moments ago that the penalties were fitting. What determines a fitting penalty?
A fitting penalty is based on the loss each of these banks caused to market participants. These markets are $500 billion a day markets, and even a slight manipulation of the rate, a few basis points, is enough to create real loss. And we created a methodology to estimate that loss, and then in turn we adjusted the amounts to be paid by each bank based on the length of time each participated in the conspiracy.
Mr. Baer, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about some of the techniques that you're using, the technology that you're using to find algorithms that fix prices and various other types of technology used to find out exactly who's doing wrong.
In this particular market, it was the great work of the FBI that was able to take these communications that occurred in chat rooms online and then connect up the chats with the trades that actually occurred minutes, sometimes just seconds, after the participants in the chat room agreed on it. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of expertise, but thanks to the folks at the Federal Bureau, we have it.
These numbers are staggering. They're hard to get your head around. 6 banks agreeing to pay $5.8 billion. How do you calculate these numbers, and where does the money go?
The money goes first to the Treasury if it's a criminal fine, but then that money is redistributed across the country to victims of crime and to organizations that provide assistance to them. So the money doesn't go to the Justice Department coffers. It actually goes back to help people who are the subject of crimes, including violent crimes in the United States.
All right, but not connected necessarily anything at all to do with FX or LIBOR rigging. How do you get to $5.8 billion? How do you get to these numbers? How do you calculate them?
The numbers that the criminal division imposed are roughly under $3 billion in criminal penalties, and it was taking a look with the help of the FBI at the average daily market movement that these folks were able to achieve during the period of the conspiracy. It doesn't take more than 2 or 3 basis points to have an impact on customers and on other traders. So we estimated that, and then we took a look at how long each bank, Citibank was in the longest, RBS the shorter period of time, and adjusted the methodology for the number of days each bank participated in this unlawful conduct.
Mr. Baer, what about the culpability of specific individuals in cases such as these? How come no one ever seems to go to jail?
Well, if you look back at the Justice Department's LIBOR investigation, the fact of the matter is a substantial number of individuals have been charged. 3 have pleaded guilty. 9 are awaiting trial following their indictment. As the Attorney General said, with regard to FX, our investigation continues. This is just one chapter in the story.
Mr. Baer, 2.5 years ago, the Justice Department declined to file criminal charges against HSBC for conduct that many would say was far worse. And at the time, they cited the potential threat of collateral damage. What changed?
Well, all I can speak to is what we did here. We were confident that these banks could be held accountable and should be held accountable for criminal antitrust violations without having the financial system collapse. We've seen in the last year or so the Justice Department has brought criminal charges against financial institutions involving other sorts of crimes, and we're able basically to do justice without any risking any systemic failure to the financial system.
Mr. Baer, you've worked on cases antitrust related to e-books and Apple and publishers. I wonder if you can tell us how your thinking has evolved when it comes to antitrust, and specifically in the world of mobile carriers like T-Mobile, for example.
Well, we look at each set of facts on its own. If it's a merger like Comcast, Time Warner, we take a look at the market and the potential for that merger to have an adverse impact on consumers going forward. With respect to criminal antitrust conspiracies, that's sort of a look back at what happened. Were people injured? How pervasive, how long-standing was the crime? What senior management was involved? So each case is specific to the unique facts, but we need to investigate them very hard, and we need to be prepared to go to trial if a defendant, whether a corporation or an individual, puts us to our proof.
Mr. Baer, at the end of this investigation, do you get the feeling that this type of behavior, this type of market rigging was basically always going on because it seems so pervasive, and it's just now it's being prosecuted because there's finally a paper trail thanks to email and chat rooms?
Well, certainly we were able to uncover this due to the use of chat rooms and then connect up the trades that actually occurred after these communications. But we look hard, and we're going to continue to look hard at this pattern of behavior. Part of what we're doing with these parent-level guilty pleas, though, is putting these banks on probation, forcing them for the next 3 years to observe much more strict financial controls, much stricter reporting obligations. And in some ways, the signal here is that the culture, the corporate culture that led to this behavior in FX and in LIBOR needs to stop.
Mr. Baer, as someone that came to the Justice Department and the Antitrust Division, I wonder if you can explain how you have reorganized the division in order to fight these antitrust cases. Tell us about the organization of the division.
Well, we have basically divided our teams into folks who work on civil cases, which was, for example, the e-books case, our case against American Express. And then we have a team of dedicated prosecutors who look at hardcore criminal price fixing and bid rigging. All enforcement at the Justice Department suffered a bit when we were under sequestration and a hiring freeze. But now that our appropriations are resolved, we're basically back to pursuing investigations vigorously and trying to get timely and positive outcomes for the American consumer.
And Mr. Baer, I understand also that in hiring at the Justice Department, you're focused on gathering experts such as economists and technologists to join you. Tell us about that.
We have a group of PhD economists, some of the smartest people I've met in the world, almost 50 of them, that help us do these sorts of analytics. When we're dealing with a price-fixing case, they help out, but so do the agents over at the Federal Bureau of Investigation who have particular expertise in financial markets. We work together as a team.